David French, describing how white supremacists he believes have targeted his family for being an anti-Trump conservative. Why do you think this is happening?
I think David's probably a little insane, to be candid with you. I think it's a complete conjecture on his part. I don't think he has any facts to back this up. And look, the Trump rallies.
Lying about all of it?
Absolutely, I do. Look, do I think the Trump rallies are passionate, and are people upset with broken Washington, D.C.? Absolutely, they are. Does that mean that people are being targeted because they're anti-Trump people and their families are being threatened? I think it's a very serious accusation that we could find a police report to back that up or not.
But you have no evidence that he is lying. But
well, we don't have any police reports that say he's telling the truth.
So I'm going to speak to my personal experience, and I'll also speak to one of our CNN colleagues' personal experiences. I have received a threat on Twitter. David French talked about receiving more than just threats online. He talked about threats of physical harm to his family. I will never say, I don't care what side of the ideological spectrum you're on, I'll never say that someone would make something up like that. He's talking about kids who are also at risk because he has a black child. Tara Setmeyer has talked about having to be escorted out of here. We've seen it. Escorted out of here by security every night because of the volumes of threats she gets from Trump supporters. That doesn't mean you, of course, Corey, or anyone affiliated with the campaign, but we have to call it for what it is. These people are not making this up. This isn't a figment of their imagination. Sure, there are a lot of things being imagined this campaign cycle, but it's not threats of violence.
I get the same threats of violence every day on Twitter. Every time I finish your show, Don, I get, you're a bad person, Corey, let's meet somewhere, whatever. Like, do I take them seriously? Of course not.
You should.
This is people who want to bully people on the internet because they're weak, feckless, weak cowards who think that it makes them a tough person by bullying somebody online. That's what we need to stop, is cyberbullying.
But you said he was lying.
Around this table, I guarantee every single
I didn't say that, and I was the only person on the other side. I actually said it doesn't matter which side of the ideological spectrum you're on. It should not occur.
So you acknowledge that it's coming also from the Clinton camp as well.
I just acknowledge that he should, if he's getting threats, he should treat it like
there's
it's
difference between just Twitter and actually calling your home. And you brought out Tara. I can bring out Kyle. I can bring my own house. We're all getting it.
So I think that you're missing. I think that you're so interested in having a fight that you're missing the fact that I agreed with you, Scottie. So why don't you?
Yeah.
Good night.
So Stephen Bannon says it's the alt-right, and he's saying that it is from, he believes that's from Trump supporters more so than anyone else.
Well, I mean, I do believe that this is true, right? So you do take some cues from the top of the ticket, right? I do believe that probably if you're in the political sphere, you're going to get some of this. Sure. Half of all of your responses are going to be negative, half will be positive. Like my old coach said, you're never as horrible as they say you are, never as good as they say you are, right? So you just kind of take all that with a grain of salt. It is a different caliber of thing, however, when it is about your family and it is about your home. When you have people like, you know, I live in Brooklyn, you can come slip something in my door. People have done that before. When your family's inside behind that door, it's one thing. We have tough skin. If you're in this business, you have a tough skin. It's different when it becomes about your children. It's different when it becomes about your family. They didn't sign up for that. They signed up because, if you have a spouse, they signed up because they love you. Your children didn't even have a say in the matter. I do believe there is a real difference, however, when it comes from the top of the ticket. When Mr. Trump says, and has never apologized for this, by the way, in the good old days, they would have dragged him out of here on a stretcher. In the good old days, somebody would have punched him in the face. When he says that I will pay legal fees for someone who does something to someone, that is a different caliber of conversation. You cannot create a false equivalency and say that any of that has ever come out of Hillary Clinton's mouth. So they're just not the same situation.
But
that you're opening the door about who have set best examples for children. But also if your son said that he was going to grab one of the girls in class by the vagina, he would also be taken into that office.
If
your son violence against his classmate, he was the vice president of the United States.
That is violence.
That is
called sexual assault.
Please don't get that confused. If your son made fun of a handicapped classmate, he would also be called into the office. What I'm telling you,
what he did.
Yes, he absolutely did.
So you'll excuse the vice president of the United States because you're such a hypocrite.
Did that.
Oh
You're such a
Okay, first of all,
he said I would do it in high school. He said I would do it in high school. He did not say. He didn't. Wait, no, Corey, because you keep going down this line. Here's the hypocrisy right here. We're talking about Vice President. I'm going to try Vice President Biden saying what he would have done son in high school. We're talking about your candidate.
He said it today.
No. What I would do if I were in high school. He did not say, I'm going to take him behind right now.
You did it today. You said it the second time. You
Whatever.
doubled down on it.
So
Whatever.
Donald Trump said this on tape 11 years ago.
Whatever.
One at a
Donald
time,
Trump said
please.
this
One
11
at a
years ago on
time.
an audio tape. Joe Biden said it today.
Congratulations, Corey. He was a grown-ass man then, and he's a grown-ass
Joe Biden
man
is
today.
a grown-ass man today. He's a vice
I'm
president
so
of the
glad,
United States,
and
so
you
he
know
should
what?
stand up for
And guess
himself,
what?
and he should apologize to them, and he should apologize to Donald Trump.
I'm so glad that Vice President Biden will be the example that my 6-year-old godson will see, because your candidates, look, he's
So
about
he's
to
not?
sail into the darkness.
So
He's
Joe
about to
Biden
be
is
done.
not a role model. Is that what
He's
you're saying?
absolutely a role model,
So
and
then
you
it's
can
okay what he
quote it,
said.
write it, do a meme, put it in Breitbart, put it in Drudge, and all the other
it's
sources
okay
y'all
what
like
he
to
said
quote.
today.
Go ahead.
That's
Charles,
firsthand
Charles,
reliable
hold on, Charles, you were making a point, please.
First of all, don't call me a hypocrite, right? Because you obviously don't even
So then you
understand.
should
You
criticize
don't even
the vice
understand
president.
what the meaning of that word is if it can come out of your mouth.
You should criticize
Don't
the
do
vice
it.
president.
Don't do it, because I'm not going to call you
As soon
names.
as you vi-
Dude,
as
the-
soon as you
and the
criticize the
moment
vice
that you
president,
start calling me a hypocrite about anything on national TV, you don't have any space, Corey.
Why do you say that?
One second, you have
finish,
zero
let him
space.
Let him finish.
Then
You
call
want to let
out
me
the
talk?
vice president.
Let him finish.
You have no space.
And call out the vice president.
You have no space. I don't
talking about the
even,
vice
I don't
president
actually
right
even
now.
know what your role is. I don't know what your function is. I don't know
My
if you're
function
actually
is-
working for the Trump
I
campaign.
don't work for anybody.
I don't
I
know
work
if you're
for
an actual
CNN.
surrogate. I don't know what you're
So
doing.
let
I
me
don't know
explain
what
to you.
comes
So
out of your mouth
let me
and
explain to you so
to
you
what
understand it.
degree
Let
it
me
is
explain
true.
to you. Look, let's
what
talk about
degree
the
it is
failing New York
honest,
Times
the
and
what
the
degree
dishonest
it
publications
matters
you publish.
at all.
Wow.
Do you want to
Go
talk
ahead,
about?
Corey.
Do you want to talk about
Yeah,
the
it is.
publications
Hang
that the
on,
New York
let-
Times
go
have
ahead.
posted?
But no.
And
The
the
moment
failure's
that
there?
you start with the personal attacks, you're going to get it right back.
so
Number
Don-
one,
Don't do it.
Don-
I'm not
I
the
don't
one.
work for Donald Trump.
I'm not the
Don-
one.
Number two,
Excuse
the
me.
fact that you won't call out Joe Biden for what he
I
said
can't
today, and you
believe we're
will
back
call out
here.
Donald Trump, is hypocrisy.
Don,
The fact that
That's
you
the-
can
that's the
never
very
say
definition.
anything critical about Donald Trump.
I've said it all the time.
No, I know you haven't.
Can I just,
Lies.
excuse me,
No, you haven't.
Don.
You want to talk about the
No,
New
you
York
not.
Times?
No, you haven't.
Excuse me.
Go ahead, go ahead,
So
Angela.
Corey
No, you
and
haven't.
Charles, I would like to chime in. I want to take this in a different direction because it did get really personal. Here's the bottom line. Don, you're witnessing what we all are starting to see every single day in our personal lives, on air, and that is people targeting each other, hurting each other, saying things that aren't true about each other, because that is the type of example that one of the presidential candidates has set. It is horrible. It is horrible. This country has never been so divided. It has been years since it's been this divided. You will stand and or sit on national television and lie about someone with a straight face.
Well, that's her content.
That
Sorry,
is
we talk it, but
Not
anyway,
the
go
hours
on.
upon hours devoted to it.
Go on.
I just,
I'll let you guys.
Don,
I'll give you guys the floor.
I'm going to talk to you. Don, I think the issue is very simple. When you are dealing with people who are downtrodden, down on their luck, and frustrated, any human being needs someone to blame. And I think in this instance, the Trump campaign has taken advantage of that misery, of that frustration, of that anger, and much of it legitimate, and have found people to blame for it. Initially, they were people of color. They were immigrants, right? When he came down the escalator, from that moment, in some instances it was women, in some instances it was black people. And now that Trump TV might be getting stood up, it's the media. It's the very crooked media, the same thing that he said about Hillary Clinton. We also need to acknowledge that this is a fair and balanced network, and we've spent quite a bit of time on Hillary, and it's not positive press. The emails are not positive. Bill Clinton's past indiscretions sexually are not positive. WikiLeaks is not positive. So I don't know where this notion that there is this biased media approach dealing with Donald Trump when we're just talking about his words. We're using his words. If it's negative, it's because those negative words came out of his mouth.
I think it's fair to say that both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump have had positive and negative press
Sure.
coverage throughout this.
Sure.
And I have to do, just to be honest, the difference is, listen, Hillary Clinton and the campaign folks are not happy with everything that CNN does. They're not happy with everything that comes out of my mouth or that I ask her when I'm in an interview with her. The thing is that they don't go on television and say Don Lemon is crooked or the media is crooked. They do it in a way that is more respectful.
Or dumb as a rock, which he tweeted.
And in a way that is, my mom would say to me, act like you've been there before. Act like you come from somewhere.
But also,
instead of saying, well, you're crooked and you whatever. So anyway, that's my piece.
Also, the bias is more a profit bias, right?
Yeah.
That people that there's too much emphasis on ratings, and Donald Trump should be the last person to complain about the media, since he got his whole candidacy is built on free media,
2.1
earned
billion.
media that he
2.1
got.
billion.
So
Do we talk to this, Charles? There are facts.
I write opinion pieces.
but-
They're not calling you for anything.
but a New York
and
Times
also,
publication
nobody
will
has
fact check.
ever seen one of my columns
That's
before,
exactly right.
before it was published.
That's
and
exactly right.
I don't take any
And-
I don't take any invitations from any campaigns ever. I got one invitation from a campaign that said, let's have it, we want to have an off the record soiree, and I was like, do not send these back to me ever again, because I don't have off the record meetings with
If only
anyone.
other reporters
So
knew about your
what I
standards.
what-
I think that's
all
excellent.
I'm saying to everybody is, you can point out one or two, and I'm not vouching for anybody else. I'm saying that the journalist in me,
Right.
the person who has practiced journalism for the last 25 years, this person will not be sullied by that.
That's the
This
integrity.
person
I've
is
got,
a different animal
I've got
than
20
that.
seconds left, but
That's
I have to
the
say
integrity
that
we need.
I work for this news organization, and I think that this sets a standard for integrity. And nothing like that would ever happen at this news organization, and I think it probably wouldn't happen at most news organizations. You're giving specifics of one or two, or maybe 3 or 4 things, considering the hundreds or thousands of
But
reporters
didn't we hear
that are
about
out there.
the questions being leaked by one of our contributors to the Hillary Clinton camp in one of the debates?
No,
No,
that's
he
not
did
true.
not.
Nothing was leaked by one of our contributors to anyone. That is something that you would
That
like to
came from
spin, but that
WikiLeaks.
did not happen. That did not happen.
WikiLeaks.
None of that-
Wait, let me go
That
to
did
this
not
second.
happen.
Scottie, you just said
In
this-
2010,
this is
Peter
important.
King
This is-
called WikiLeaks
I'm sorry,
a terrorist
one second.
organization. Now
This
it's
is
not a
really-
terrorist
This
organization.
is really important
Outrageous.
because Don had raised this point before. This idea that we come on and say things that are not true. Now
That was true.
That's not true.
It's
That's
not
not
true.
true.
It's
There
not
isn't a
true.
contributor. The contributor, the person who leaked that email, if they did or not, does not work for this news organization.
She did at the time.
She
does
did
not-
not
she did
leak.
not leak
Time
that
out,
email.
Don, because I'm going to defend. We're talking about Donna Brazile.
I'm not mentioning her name.
I'm going to say her name. We're talking about Donna Brazile, someone who has blazed a trail for many of us and busted the doors
That's
wide
not what we're
open.
talking
First,
about.
I'm
We're
not
talking
done.
about where the
I am
questions
not
to
finished,
Hillary,
Scottie.
where the
I'm not
questions to
done.
Hillary.
Let me finish.
We're kind of
The
wrapping
Hold
up
on,
now.
stop, hold on, stop. No,
I just wanted to
You
get
got to
this
stop because
together.
I have to say this, and I have to go. CNN does not provide Donna Brazile with anything. Donna Brazile
didn't
is not
send a
in on any
question.
debate.
I just said that was
She didn't
something
send a
brought by
question.
You should read your facts because they're wrong, and that's what I mean. You have
You're gonna
an
tarnish
obligation
someone like that.
when you work for, because you do work for CNN.
I
You're
know
being
I
paid
do.
by CNN to tell the truth. That's not the truth.
Okay.
She did not send a question, and
did
nobody
not send
sent
a
a
question,
question.
and
There
she
were
just-
lead-ins about statistics that were shared. Donna did not send a question.
But Angela,
Look
even
at
with that, it's not.
Can you listen to
the
the facts?
premise of what she's saying is not right. I don't want
It's
to say
not.
who the journalist is, who is set to leak the question, but that journalist is.
I didn't
Still
say that.
didn't leak the
Journalist does
question.
not
I didn't
work
say it.
for
She
CNN.
said the
It
name.
still did not
I
leak the
didn't.
question.
She said the name.
Still did not leak.